Welcome to the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, where it is never too early for fantasy football. My name is Jeff.
I'm Alex.
As always, thank you for downloading, listening, liking, and commenting on our podcast videos. Please join our community by subscribing to us on the socials. Our handle on all platforms is at N2E Fantasy. We are also available on all major podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy. Alex, what do we have on today's show?
On this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, we are beginning our 2026 ranks for redraft for each of our top positions in fantasy, and we are starting with our top 15 tight ends for 2026 redraft leagues. So, Jeff,
Yes, sir.
do we have any news to cover first? I think it's kind of a light week.
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple of things. The biggest news this week, I don't even have on the sheet here in front of us, is Brandon Sorsby is applying for the NFL supplemental draft. So this is a guy that lost his college eligibility, sued to get it back, got it back, and the backlash that is happening right now, he has now moved to going to the NFL. What's your thoughts?
I think he would have been a mid-draft prospect in the regular draft, and he comes with baggage for his gambling addiction that we have no idea if it's even resolved. So he could be gambling again on his own team, or gambling on the NFL, gambling in whatever team facility he gets drafted in, for all we know. I think it's a huge red flag. So he doesn't have the production, he doesn't have the film, and he has baggage that comes with him. Teams have to give up a 2027 pick and what could be a very loaded class for a guy like this. I think it's very questionable. And the teams that have the most needs at quarterback have multiple picks in the 2027 draft to be able to take a better quarterback prospect then. There's a lot of hype from the media guys who are plugged in with agents that are hyping him up as if a team is going to give up a first or second round pick for him, which I think is crazy. So I think the highest you're realistically looking at is the third. But for me, I don't think I would give up a fourth or a fifth.
Think you're going to see a second. What do you got to lose if you think he could be your quarterback?
Second round pick, which is potentially a starting player.
Potentially. Everything is just potentially. But quarterback is the premier position in the NFL. So
I'm telling you, he's not worth it on talent, film, or production. Not worth it on any of those three levels, on top of the fact that he has red flags, and 2027 is a much better class for offensive players all around, and you might need that second round pick to move up and take someone better. It doesn't make any sense to me.
What's the flags? You said he has red flags. I only know the gambling. What's the other one?
Production, dealing with the gambling for multiple years, and then rather than seek actual treatment and take his time and not play and deal with treatment entering the 2027 draft, which I think would have been better for him. He tried to do the quickest thing possible and appeal and try to fight it when he should have taken accountability, and he hasn't taken accountability at all. So that's a character concern along with the gambling addiction. That's just how I would view it.
I can see that. I will say, though, that some of the blame has to go to the judge on this, though. He reversed the college's decision, and it would have ended with him going to the supplemental draft if he was banned for the whole year anyways, so, or lost his college eligibility anyways, so kind of ended in the same spot.
It wouldn't have resolved in time for the June 22nd deadline. So he ran out of time. He has to do the supplemental draft.
But he got what he wanted. His eligibility back.
It doesn't matter. He has a commitment with Tech, and Tech might have to back out of playing him because everyone else would not play them or sanction them.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to go to a bowl game if no one will play you.
Money talks, though, because there's a lot of money that would be lost on all the teams in that scenario. Then you don't have that NIL money, so a lot of people throwing out threats out there, but Sorsby actually, in a weird way, helped out college football by going to the supplemental draft. So
Yeah.
so we'll see. We'll see what happens. He's going to be the talk, and people will be paying attention to him in training camps this year. So can't wait to see what happens there. I think he's a very interesting backup. He's a dual threat quarterback. So we will see what goes on there. But speaking of snip, snap, running back, Sincere McCormick is back with the 49ers. Seems like the guy that they will go to use the spot to manipulate the roster and bring him back once they do. But he does seem like an end of the roster guy, so I don't know if he'll stick around. And another retread, the Eagles bring in running back Elijah Mitchell to a 1-year deal. So a couple of camp bodies here, but they could stick with an injury or two.
Yeah, it seems like just the last episode where we talked about Sincere McCormick getting cut in what was kind of questionable, but now he's back immediately after we recorded, I felt like.
Yep, because he was cut. That's where the snip snap comment came from. Because he was cut. Snip snap, snip snap.
Well, you need to cut the McCordick, and let's move on.
Little
Yeah,
Michael
Elijah
Scott
Mitchell.
reference.
Yeah, Elijah Mitchell is definitely a camp body.
And the Cardinals decided not to even bring their second kicker to camp. Chad Ryland is now the only kicker on their roster as they have decided to release Joshua Carty, which is a little surprising because he was the Rams starter to begin the season last year. So it's interesting he has not found a home.
Oh, it's not as interesting as the Browns having 3 punters on their roster right now.
You know, when you punt a lot, you're going to have leg fatigue, and you just got to rotate those punters like a punter by committee.
I thought some of them were trying out for quarterback too.
Yeah, potentially. And yeah, I have no segue to this next item here, but I guess that the Broncos want more Sean Payton as they reach a new 5-year deal with him. I will die on the hill that he cost them their playoff hopes last year with not going for that field goal and deciding to go for it on 4th down with a backup quarterback. That was the game decider, and I will die on that hill.
I think their quarterback getting hurt had something to do with it, but we'll see.
They lost, like, them missing that, the Patriots marched down, scored, and it was a 3-point victory for them. So, like, it could have flip-flopped the entire game by going up to nothing. But, yeah, they just stayed 7-0 in that game, and then that crazy snow happened, which, sadly, the Broncos are going to be getting a dome stadium, and we're not going to be able to see the change of a first half like that again in Mile High, where it was completely green, completely awesome. And then by the third quarter, it was just the field was covered in snow. You couldn't see anything. But the last piece of news here is the Panthers extend wide receiver Jalen Coker by 3 years. So now he has a new 4-year deal with the Panthers. Great for the Panthers is a Bryce Young staple. It's actually a Dave Canales staple in the offense now as well. Dave loves to use him more than Leggett, who is a second rounder, I believe. So, or maybe a first rounder. And so that says a lot. An undrafted guy getting this deal and moving ahead in the depth chart.
Yeah. I think he's, the wide receiver 2 for them right now?
Absolutely. And I think he'll be targeted quite a bit. So I think he might be undervalued in fantasy drafts. I'm not sure you're going to hear him in my top 24 wide receivers, but maybe if we got to 48 receivers in our receiver episode in a few weeks, we could get to Jalen Coker. All right.
It's a very economic deal, very team-friendly deal for the Panthers.
Absolutely, and it buys out the last year of his restricted free agency, so it gets him paid a little bit earlier as well.
All right. Are we ready for our tight end rankings?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's move on to our top 15 tight ends for the 2026 season. Jeff, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I'll take it here, coming in at 15 for me is one of my favorites, and that is Dalton Kincaid for the Buffalo Bills.
Wow, that's low for you, I feel like. You were higher on him last year.
I was, and then he got injured.
Do you think the injury is going to bleed into the beginning of the season?
No, but I also believe that there was at least 3 or 4 rookie tight ends last year that took off. and we didn't see that coming either.
I can't remember where I had Loveland and Warren last year, but Kincaid. I actually have him higher than you, which is a little bit interesting. Tight
uh,
end is outside the top 6 to 8, maybe. I would say 10 through 15 is probably very difficult compared to the last couple years because so many of these teams are bringing in extra tight ends that I feel like it's going to hurt production for anyone but the truly elite guys. And I think Kincaid is the major receiving tight end, and hopefully he'll have less pressure off of him, and hopefully he gets healthier as the year goes on. So I have him a little bit higher than this.
all right.
I have at 15 Jake Ferguson with the
Uh,
Cowboys
why are you so low on him this year?
because as Pickens became more of a focal point in the offense, Ferguson's numbers started to drop, and I think Pickens has a lot to prove this year to earn a long-term commitment.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe they're trying to work on getting a wide receiver 3 going as well.
Would you believe that I have Ferguson higher than you this year? And I feel like life is just really weird right now.
I can believe it. I still like him. I think he's the edge of, tight end 1, early tight end 2, and he'll have tight end 1 weeks.
Yes, sir. All right, who's your 14?
My 14 is TJ Hawkinson, who should thrive a little more with Kyler Murray, who is good at the short and intermediate route throwing and is a better quarterback than JJ McCarthy is. So I think Hawkinson will get some return to his value. And I think Addison is a distant third because Kyler likes to lock in to his top 2 guys typically.
Absolutely. I will say Hawkinson is my tight end 20, so he will not make my top 15 this year. But as you said, these are all kind of very closely jammed guys, so this is not a indictment of him, but he's also getting older. I want to say that he is in his 30s now, so he's getting towards the end of his career. And I don't know what that looks like for him long term, but he is a guy that you could be targeting as your second tight end, and he's actually 28. Wow. So he's not as old as I thought he was, but came over from the Lions. Feels like a decade or more ago. Not true, though. Not true. All right. My number 14 is Jake Ferguson. And so I am very close to you on that, but I do have him one spot higher than you. And it's kind of funny because you had him in a bet last year versus me and Darren Waller. So it feels like the tables have turned here.
Darren Waller isn't even in my top 30. So,
Wow, that's bold.
well, I don't think
That's
he's even on the team, right?
You're correct. So it's not as bold as my sarcasm. All right. So let's hop over to my number 13, and that would be Mr. Mark Andrews, the old man that has the job to himself, at least to start the year.
Well, how funny, Jeff. We have our first in common pick here. I have Mark Andrews at 13 as well.
Oh man, you've been copying my sheet. It looks like who would be your number 12 then?
My number 12 is Dalton Kincaid. I think he's the
Oh,
last of the T1s.
I like that. He's a guy that I got in a few leagues, and I don't really know what to do with him because I don't think he's going to ever enter the elite tight end conversation. So it's hard to know exactly what to do with him. But this might be a surprise to you. I'm not even sure he made your top 15, but my number 12 tight end is Juwan Johnson for New Orleans. And I believe that he is a favorite for Tyler Shuck, and he will continue to be this year as well.
Yeah, he didn't make my top 24.
What? I feel like
No,
that was a bit of
I take that back.
oversight.
He made 22.
Okay. I was going to say, I feel like that's a bit of an oversight, but
Well,
I guess
I
that's not
have
too
him
bad.
over Njoku and Gadsden.
I do not have him over Getson. Do not
Yeah.
have him. But I know you're down on Gatson because you believe Ninjoku's going to take away a lot of his targets. But you have to remember last year that Fanon overtook Ninjoku for the role. So not sure how much Ninjoku has left. But Jawan
First of
Johnson,
all, Fanon was awesome though.
yeah, I would agree. And Gatson was too at times.
Gatson is purely a receiving tight end,
Okay.
and I don't think he's going to have nearly the production that he was having. They also brought in not just Njoku, but I think Kohler as well. So they brought in two prolific starting tight ends.
Yeah, Kohler was just for blocking, though. He might catch 5 total balls all year.
He's a better receiver than people think.
We'll see. We'll see. But we're not talking about either of them right now. We're talking about Jawan Johnson. And Jawan here finished tight end 10 last year and 17 the year before. So I don't know why you have him at 22. So and Shuck, that was a Shuck go-to.
Well, I think Jordan Tyson is going to be pretty prominent. He's already hanging out with his quarterback nonstop already. Well,
I think is Olave going to play?
Well, I think Olave is nursing an injury right now.
Blood thinners he's on because he's got clots issues.
Yep.
So if he does not play,
a clot in his lung.
Yeah, if he does not play or is limited, would you reconsider?
Yes, because it's either Jawan or Vele in that case.
Don't mess with Trey Palmer and Bud Means or Bub or Bud.
Trey Palmer is dust.
Hey, why are you besmirching Trey Palmer, who is still quite young in this league? He's 25. And you got Bryce Lance.
Dust. Well, Lance will be a nice deep threat.
I love how you changed your tone really quickly there. All right. Jumping into my number 11 is Hunter Henry, one of your favorites.
Hunter Henry came in at number 17 for me.
What? I love that you've dropped all your players lower than me.
I like how you laugh at me last year for having those players high, and this year you've come to your senses and have them high. You're just a year behind on the trends there, Jeff.
And you
But
fell out of your senses.
I think bringing in Brown has changed everything, especially since they're not getting rid of any wide receivers yet. I mean, once you start to get rid of some of those guys, maybe some targets will open back up. But I think that a lot of passing touchdowns, which is what his whole value was getting red zone touchdowns. I think a lot of those are going to turn into rushing touchdowns between the two running backs and the quarterback. So I don't think he's going to get as many touchdowns, and he's going to drop for that reason. And maybe he can maintain some of his value.
Yeah.
If we will trade away a receiver or two.
Yeah, I mean the Booty is the guy that is the most rumored guy to go. So we'll see if that actually does come to fruition. But last year, they didn't give Drake May a ton of opportunities to throw the ball. I think it was less than 500 times, which is quite low for a MVP candidate quarterback. So we'll see if they trust him to throw more or not this year.
Yeah, I think they might have to throw more since they're going to have a tougher schedule.
Yes, sir. But it seems like Josh McDaniels prefers not to throw as little as possible.
Unless it's Tom Brady, but
I think they kept him down a bit too from year to year. Like there were some years where he had no talent, or where was his talent coming from? Just Gronk.
Yeah.
All right, who's your 11?
All right, my 11 is likely a surprise for you. It's Isaiah Likely with the
my God,
New York / New Jersey Giants. He's already become a favorite of Jackson Dart in camp so far. He is the number 1 tight end. For once, doesn't have Mark Andrews in his way. Neighbors is hurt. A lot of the other guys are more intermediate deep threats. Isaiah Likely, to me, it's like when Vernon Davis finally got to be the guy. Was it Vernon Davis or maybe it was the tight end that
always the guy.
Maybe Who am I thinking of? Is the guy that was behind Vernon Davis that went to the Titans. Titans, tight ends. This is a weird thing to say.
Delaney Walker?
Delaney Walker. Yeah. Delaney Walker. So like being behind a prominent tight end for so long and then finally getting to be a starter on a different team and being good. I think it's going to have that kind of impact.
That is quite bold considering they already have Theo Johnson that has been there for years and has been growing into this role as well. They have neighbors, they have a ton of pass catchers, and they have a quarterback that is not gonna be able to support them all. So you're putting all your eggs in the
You
likely
think
basket.
you think he won't be able to, but he has a quarterback, or I'm sorry, he has a head coach
Mm-hmm.
who ran a team where was heavily through the tight ends, and you have offensive coordinator and an assistant head coach
Mm-hmm.
also that like to utilize the tight end position. And for a scrambling quarterback, a lot of them like to throw to the tight ends as a safety blanket. I don't think Neighbors is going to be healthy to start the year.
That
So
would be a
I
shock for
I
me.
I know that they have I believe they have Mooney
Mm-hmm.
and Slayton,
Mm-hmm. And Fields
who's a rookie, and we don't know exactly what we got from him yet.
and Kelvin Austin and Juju Smith Schuster and Jalen
Camp
Hyatt.
body. God, I love Hyatt as a potential, but all he is like literally a $2 lottery ticket. You just don't know if it's ever going to pay off. But there's odds are at this point it won't. But there's been some a nice report or two in camp so far this off season about Hyatt. But likely is pretty reliable,
Yeah,
and this is a big chance for him.
I think he's going to split with Theo, and we'll see who comes out on the top there. Theo Johnson finished 19 at tight end last year and likely finished 47 under Harbaugh. So he's had his opportunities under Harbaugh, and he's playing for an arguably worse quarterback this year.
I don't know. I don't think it gets much worse than Lamar Jackson.
I think Jackson Dart is that.
There you go, Lamar Jackson Dart. There you go. They're one person.
So there you go.
Lamar Jackson Dart.
Yep. I will say that I don't believe that Harbaugh had much say in the offense. I think he relied on his coordinator to do that. And Monken is now the head coach for the Browns. So there is that. And I don't know how him and Nagy fit together. Like, that is just, it doesn't feel right to me. Like, he should have had his pick at coordinator, and it feels like he picked from the scrap heap instead. So we'll see how
Yeah,
that gels together.
yeah, we'll see. My number 10 is Matt Nagy's former tight end, Travis Kelce. The aged wonder. He's almost 40 years old and still being relevant in fantasy. He's just nowhere close to what he used to be.
He is still a tight end one. That is for sure. He's 36 years old right now. And I also just want to double check. Yeah, Mr. Kelsey at number 10. So I concur with that.
Interesting.
Yep.
So we
He's
have 13 and 10 the same so far.
the two old men. But I will say that he's definitely worth the late round flyer. There will be weeks where he is the guy in that offense and it'll pay off, and there'll be weeks where he goes hidden and it does not pay off as much. But let's hop into my number 9 here, and that is last year's sensation and Kyle Pitts Sr. I wanted to say junior. Wow, not his kid.
Yeah, I'm higher on Kyle Pitts than you this year.
Wow.
I mean, he was a top, I think, 4 tight end this past year.
New coaching staff, they didn't want to commit to him, so I didn't know what to do with him.
Well, the new coach is very familiar with getting the tight end the ball,
Yep.
and
But
he's one of 2 reliable receiving options for them, unless
come
you
on,
count,
Johan Dotson.
well, if you count Bijan, then there's 3 of them.
Johan Dotson. I love him.
No, I'd rather take a flyer on Zachariah Branch than Dotson.
There are national media members that love Zachariah Branch and say that he was very underrated in this draft. So we'll see. Quarterback's going to definitely be one of the weak points there, though, for that team.
I think Pitts actually was relatively healthy last year, which helped him break out again, and hopefully that continues on to this year. And hopefully Tua is better than what Kirk Cousins was with them last year as well. But
All right, who?
my number 9 here is George Kittle.
Uh,
And he would be higher if I knew for certain how healthy he was going to be. He seems to insist that he'll be back on a short recovery turnaround week 1, and I don't really want to count that. So I'm kind of baking in the injury here at 9, but when he's fully going, he'll outperform that, I think, on a per game average. So it's really how you want to mitigate your risk. I mean, you can take him earlier if you want and have
yeah,
someone
much
else to start the
higher.
early games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm much higher on him than you. So that's interesting because you have been higher on Kittle than me in previous years, and it does sound like he will be out there week 1.
I like him as an NFL player. I think
Mhm.
he's an interesting character as well. I just want to be cautious with the injury side. Other than that, like I said, once he's going on a per game basis, fully healthy, he's really good.
And Achilles isn't the injury it once was. I think Cam Akers redefined what an Achilles injury recovery looks like, and for a tight end, I'm a little bit less concerned about the Achilles.
All right. Number 8 is Sam Laporta. I still like his upside. I'm just not exactly sure what this offense is going to be. And I kind of favor the wide receivers more in the Lions offense. But I still like Sam Laporta.
Me too. Everyone forgets about him. Like 2 years ago, he had like a crazy rookie year. 3 years ago. 2 years ago was Brock Bowers. And then last year was like three tight ends that like broke out. But I really like him. He's going to be coming up very shortly on my list, and I will believe that the back will be fine. But as you have said, that obviously that's a question mark. And what target number is he on the field? Because he's definitely behind Gibbs. He's behind probably Jamison Williams and St. Brown. So is he the fourth target on the team? I know you would argue Tesla would probably argue for fourth, but it's why Tesla is not one of my favorite players because he just has so much depth to battle with.
But if
But
Tesla has 18 catches and all of them are touchdowns, I mean,
that would be the most insane efficiency rate ever. But
could you imagine? Could you imagine? 18 receptions, 570 yards, 18 touchdowns.
see, I'm picturing if for eight, you just blew me away with the 570 yards off of 18 receptions. Like, that was the piece that blew me up the most. Like, I could see him getting 15 yards per reception, not 40 yards
That
per
would
reception.
no, that would be like 50, that would be like 50 something yards per
Yeah,
reception. So it'd be
yeah.
like a 50-yard touchdown each time.
I'm not sure Goff can throw that far. Jamison Williams would be more believable on that line. But all right, my number 8 is a guy that's returning from injury, and that is Tucker Kraft. Do you think the ACL will be a little harder to come back from than the Achilles of George Kittle? But again, top 8, considering all the rookie tight ends that broke out last year, I think that's still pretty good.
See, I think I think Achilles is a bigger issue than ACL.
For tight ends?
I have Tucker Kraft higher.
Okay. I would have said for running backs, I would completely agree with you because I think the Achilles is the most needed push off tool for a running back. And once that goes, it takes a while to get that confidence back and get going again.
Yes, but tight ends and wide receivers have to push off when they run their routes. Once off the line of scrimmage and a second time when they make their break and they split off for their route. So it's very, very crucial. And it also ties into speed. ACL is something that's easier for anyone to come off of because they've gotten so much better at it with so many injuries. They've gotten so much better at the ACL stuff, whereas Achilles is a little bit more rare and it's much more difficult. Even with the improved process, it's still much more difficult.
Yeah.
And I
I
think Kittle's is a shorter turnaround than Kraft, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. The only thing I will argue with that is there's a high rate of soft tissue issues off of the ACL as well as the overcompensation. Most recent example of that is your buddy Marshawn Lloyd, who keeps tweaking his hamstring because of a torn ACL several seasons ago. So
Well, it's crazy that medical science is getting to a point where they can figure that out. Because if you can figure it out, then you can start to set up exercises to
right,
rebalance your body.
right. If you think about it, though, we should have been able to do this a long time ago. If you could just measure the strength of one muscle and how much it can bear versus the other side or the other muscle, like you probably could have figured this out a lot sooner. But
Maybe.
we didn't look at it that deep. But I'll hop into my number 7 here, and my number 7 is Sam Laporta. So I told you he was coming up quite quickly, and we're just one spot off on Sam Laporta.
My number 7 is Harold Fannin Jr. I really like him. You and I both talked about before he was even drafted that he had a really good college profile with his production. And sure enough, he ended up being a top 3 rookie tight end, which is pretty incredible because I felt like not that many people in the industry were in on Fannin, and both you and I were.
Do love his profile.
And he is for sure the guy, and Joku's gone. They
It's
did add
true.
some wide receivers, but I think those guys have a lot to prove. They're rookies, and he's a second-year pro now after proving it his rookie year already. I think Watson will be the starter for most of the year, so I think he will be pretty solid, and they'll probably be in losing game scripts, but maybe some close games, so he'll get heavily involved.
Yep. And I think that being a tight end with if Sanders were to start, he will be the first read or the safety net, one or the other. All right, who's your number 6?
My number 6 is Kyle Pitts. So I'm halfway between your pick for him and how he finished last year.
I can't say I disagree. I just don't like the fact that they didn't put a long term commitment on him, and they didn't even like the deadline to sign an extension on the tag has not even passed to this date yet, and they're still not discussing it. Like it's not like they couldn't come to terms. It's they're not even talking.
Well, I think it's more of a can you do it 2 years in a row type thing. So prove it. I mean, same thing with Pickens. I mean, Pickens had 1,300 yards last year. Had a great season, and they're not going to extend it.
This is because Jerry Jones has decided to be tight on the wallet lately with Parsons and now Pickens. He picked now to be tight on the wallet.
Because he's been overpaying people by waiting to the last minute rather than pushing to get a deal done.
I mean, in a
And
way, this is doing that.
I don't, not for Pitts because I think Pitts does have to prove it.
Yeah. If George Pickens puts up another 1,300 yards, does his price tag come down or does it go up?
It goes up.
Exactly.
It goes up.
Sign him now if you're gonna.
Jerry Jones is not a savvy businessman, so.
Yeah, he has more money than you and I will ever see in 16 lifetimes.
I wonder if he has more money and equity with the Cowboys or if he has more money from his other business ventures. I'd wager it's more tied up in equity with the Cowboys.
Very possible. Very possible. All
Anyway,
right, I think
who's your number 6?
number 6 is Tyler Warren. So Colts Tyler Warren will go here. This is my first of several rookies from last year coming up.
Interesting. I have him higher, but it's okay. What about Pittman being gone? And now it's Warren, Alec Pierce, and Downs as the top 3 receiving options. Wouldn't that knock him up higher a little bit?
Yes, except for you have Daniel Jones, who's a rushing quarterback returning from an Achilles tear of his own. And that is going to pose its own problem, and I'm not sure the offense is going to be nearly as good as it was at its height last year. So you got to kind of knock
You're
it
just
down a
worried
little
about
bit.
Anthony Richardson starting, aren't you?
Gosh, if he starts, I will lose my mind. Still a chance that he could get traded too.
Nobody wants him. And if he starts, it's because Daniel Jones isn't ready to go or got hurt again.
They might just outright cut him then, because Riley Leonard, I believe, is the two there right now.
No, they are competing. Neither one of them has won it.
We will see. We will see. But your boy, the guy that you've extended in RSO leagues, is Nick Westbrook Akine, and he's the number 3 for the Colts. And honestly, I know you might scoff at this, but if anyone's going to take targets and touchdowns away from a tight end, it is Nick Westbrook Akine. So we'll see.
Well, we'll see. He had some flashes. Didn't work out for him in Miami.
Well, my number 5 is Harold Fannin Jr., so I am higher than you on Harold Fannin, and he is my second of last year's rookie tight ends to make the list.
Wow. I'm kind of surprised you have that high.
A lot of tight ends
thought
made
I was high at
impressions last
7.
year. A lot of tight ends made impressions last year.
Well, let me guess. Gadsden's going to be your 4.
Yeah!
My number 5 is Tucker Kraft.
Okay. He's great.
Which is the highest I've ever been on him before.
I know. I will never, ever, ever, ever forget the draft where they took Musgrave and Kraft in the same draft. And I'm like, because they took Musgrave first, Kraft second. I'm like, this is going to be another Hayden Hurst and Mark Andrews situation. And it turned out to be another Mark Andrews and Hayden Hurst situation.
Yeah, I think going into the league, Musgrave kind of lost confidence after his rookie year because he doesn't move like he used to. He doesn't move like he did in college. Like all he does now is when he catches the ball, he falls to the ground every single time. Every single time. Catch, fall to the ground. It's so weird. It's the strangest thing. But Tucker Kraft and Jordan Love have a really good connection, so him being healthy. Moving on from Dobbs and I think Wicks means that he'll maintain being a focal point even with the reemergence of Christian Watson.
Yeah, absolutely. Who is your number 4?
My number 4 is Colston Loveland with the Chicago Bears. I like him and my number 3 just about the same. I just think the Bears have more receiving.
Yeah, I mean they lost DJ Moore. Yeah, they lost DJ Moore, so he could get more targets, and he's definitely going to be the one over Komet. Komet's going to be the supplemental 2, and for that reason, he is also my number 4. So we agree completely on Colston Loveland, and that ends my run of rookie tight ends right now from last year. Maybe Gadsden will be coming up later.
Who's your number 3?
Just kidding. My number 3 is George Kittle. Too elite of a player. Even with a negative multiplier, I couldn't get him out of my top 3 tight ends. He produces every time that he's on the field, regardless of age or injury, because he has battled injuries prior. He's 32 right now. And yeah, even with a negative multiplier, so taking 5% off his stats off based on the injury, he still came out to my number 3 tight end.
That's incredibly high.
He's incredible.
I don't even know if I was guaranteed of his health if I would put him in the top 4. Just because I have number 3, Tyler Warren, the last sophomore, and he's up there because I mean Pittman's gone, and I think he's going to be potentially the number 1 wide receiver on the team playing tight end. So I don't think he could beat out any of the top 4, even if he's 100% healthy. And it'd be really questionable whether he'd beat out a healthy Tucker Kraft. And I love George Kittle. I think he's one of my favorite tight ends, and I'd want him to play for my team. But fantasy-wise, I just don't know. This year being that high.
So, all right, let's do a little comparison of the two then, because that's where we are right now. And for Warren, I have him getting a rushing touchdown on 4 yards. And there I have him at 118 targets, 87 of those being caught, 915 yards and 5 touchdowns. And I have Kittle at 91 targets, 73 receptions, so both lower, 983 yards and 8 touchdowns, because he is the more dynamic catcher and he has a higher touchdown volume likelihood with Purdy than Warren does with Jones. So I think Purdy has like 30 touchdowns in him. Jones probably has 20 that he's got to disperse.
Yeah, I think you can make the case for Kittle having more touchdowns, but I think Warren will have more yards.
Yeah, I have him having more yards. No, I don't. I have him getting more catches, but not more yards. So there is that.
I think Warren will get more yak. I don't think you're accounting for that aspect.
Yeah, we will see. I mean, he's going to draw a lot more coverage this year because he is undoubtedly the one. So he's going to draw a lot more attention. That's going to be him. If you're going to play the Colts, the first thing you're going to do is take away Jonathan Taylor. And then the second thing you're going to do is take away Tyler Warren. And if you can do both of those, you've won the game every single time against the Colts. So I don't think Pierce and Downs could win a game, basically, with Jones.
I don't really know what they are at this point. So they'd have to full breakout to kind of change the viewpoint there. I like mostly agree with you. I do like Downs's upside.
Not his downside.
No, I don't like Downs's downside. Meanwhile, Alec is used to pierce the defensive coverage.
He's coming off a little bit of an injury right now, too, that he's battling.
Yeah, his injury is kind of concerning.
I think he'll be okay, but I don't really count these mini camp and what they're reporting as injuries right now, because I do think they rest players, and if someone's on the fringe, they're not going to use them at all until July.
Yeah. We'll see. But moving on to my number 2, it's Trey McBride with the Cardinals.
Okay, that's also my number 2. So
I didn't know if we were going to have the same order because a lot of this was different. A lot of his stats are dependent on negative game script. They got so far behind that they threw so much in garbage time that it inflated his stats. So the way that their offense was built, and it might change having, a clean slate and a new head coach, but they're going to be in garbage time again. They're going to be down again. I think they're going to probably be the worst team or top 2 worst team in the league this year. So he's going to get stats. And he's a good receiving tight end anyway.
Yeah, I agree. The concerns are the new coach, the new scheme, the new potential quarterback, because I do think that Carson Beck does get starts this year. I mean, there's no reason not to start him in games this year. Like, if you're
Unless you
out
get
of it,
Sorsby, am I right?
and then you start both of them in a few games, I would assume.
Start them at the same time. 2 quarterback alignment. You don't know which way the ball's being snapped.
Or being thrown to. Love it. And my number 1 is Brock Bowers, so it shouldn't be a huge shock with Brock.
My number 1 is Mason Taylor because they're going to be throwing the ball nonstop. But no, I'm just kidding. No, it's definitely Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers
Over
is
Sadiq's head.
Just Brock Bowers. Brock
Yep.
Bowers. BB. Double B. He's just the best tight end overall. Probably the best tight end of the past 30 years, talent-wise. And he's going to be the focal point of the Raiders' offense with Kubiak, which I think will make him really, really useful.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, but you had just mentioned Mason Taylor. He's my tight end 38 this year. But I know we argued about Likely earlier, and I have Likely at 27 and Theo Johnson at 30, so I do have them splitting that job almost identical.
I like Theo Johnson as a prospect. I think he's being passed up, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, my surprise riser this year, though, was Chigo, who is in Washington now taking the Zach Ertz role, and I have him at tight end 18, so he is in the middle of the tight end twos.
How funny would it be if Chigo breaks out with Washington and Gunnar Helm outperforms Tennessee Chigo with the Titans this year.
You think it'll be Gunnar Helm's show, or you think they'll go with Dan Bellinger, who is
I think Dan Bellinger is one of the most overrated tight ends that keeps getting on people's rosters. I think he's more of a blocking guy than a receiving guy. I I like Gunnar Helm. I need to see it still, but he intrigues me. Chig O just never performed up to what he should have with Tennessee. But the new offensive coordinator with Washington, being from the Lions tree, might open things up for him. And the fact that they really need receiving help in general. So hopefully those two guys can emerge. It feels like across multiple of the positions, the tiers are flattening, so there's a lot more usable guys, and the difference between some of the ranks aren't as far as they used to be. Because, like I was saying, like rank 10 through maybe 20, 21 isn't that crazy. And I bet if I did my full-on projections, it probably wouldn't be that many point differential. So, and I think I'm surprised at looking at running backs this year that there's a lot of running backs I'd be happy as my starters. And I couldn't say that the past several years. Like usually, sometimes you want to tackle that early. The zero running back strategy is dead these days, but I'm not sure that there's a real running back dead zone this year either.
that is fair. We have contractual obligation to know where Dalton Schultz is because we didn't talk any Texans on this podcast episode. Contractual obligation to talk Texans. You got him top 24.
Oh man,
You don't got him ranked at all.
I have names on here that I shouldn't, and I don't know why I have them there. I would put him at 21.
He's my tight end 19. But what you were just saying, my tight end 20, who's TJ Hawkinson, has 113 points projected. And my tight end 11 has 131 points projected. So that is a difference of 18 points. So a point a game. So good luck picking which ones to use in that area, which weeks. But there will be a tight end soft team where you could probably stream some of these guys. But Fryermuth, 21 for me.
Interesting.
I know.
Yeah, I want to be higher on Fryermuth,
Me too.
but they're really talking up Darnell Washington, who I also like.
They
But
just paid him.
I like him more. I like him more as a football player than fantasy. But it's one of those situations where the multiple tight ends are going to eat into each other. So this might be the year where tight end more than any other position, I feel like you have to target early. You got to get one of
or
the
late.
top 9 guys. Yeah, you either target it early and get a premium position there, or you wait
So the 14th
because there's
round.
there's almost no difference between 10 and 20 something.
Yeah, I know people go into their drafts with, I really like this guy, but it doesn't make sense this year. Dallas Goedert, a guy that is my 16th ranked tight end. He's a guy that is being undervalued right now because Stowers and yeah, he's just old.
He's my 18, so I'm not far off from you.
Yeah, I just think that if you're going to go late, you might as well go grab the touchdown machine in the red zone.
I feel like if you go late, you got to get 2 guys.
For 2 roster spots?
Well, you have to protect yourself. You have to if one doesn't work out, you have the another one that you can plug in.
A guy that I have at
But
24 is AJ Barner, and I would love to get him higher. He's a guy that I would take a flyer on late.
well, it also sounds like based on the more premium guys, Kittle would be a really solid pick for people because I don't think he's going that early in drafts. So if you're drafting, Kittle could perform as at least from Jeff's perspective, a top 3 tight end performance, and I think a floor of tight end 9, and I think he's probably being drafted as tight end 10 or 11. So I think he's a pretty solid pick to get in this draft. I think Mark Andrews is a solid pick. Could even outperform that 13 spot we both have him in. And then, like you said, Dallas Goddard, if you wait.
I agree with that. That is kind of crazy, and I know we started the podcast off talking about Gadsden, and I have him at 17 right now. So he is chilling in that tight end 2 territory. 23 is Ninjoku, so he is chilling in that territory as well. But I can release my full rankings now that we've talked about it.
All right. All right. Well, I think that does it for this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you all for downloading and listening to this episode. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave us a comment and share the show. Every little bit helps.
You can find us on all podcasting apps by searching N2 Fantasy and with our handle at N2E Fantasy on all social media platforms. Please join our community and give us a follow. Until next time, take care of yourselves and remember, it's truly never too early for fantasy football. Thank you again.
Bye, everybody.